I'm here with Nico Plowman. I'll start.
Great.
We've just done, we're in the middle of a 2-day Introduction to Biodynamics course. I always say that too quickly, Biodynamics course. Nico has very kindly joined us to learn about biodynamics, but also to tell us a bit about what he's doing. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, well, when you and I got together a month ago, I think we both quickly recognised that meditation and people's approach to how they source their food and grow their food have some synergies, because people who are aware of their environment and what they're eating, they're conscious, they're thinking about how they're eating, what's good for them. And so we got to thinking, we thought, well, actually, tying something in around what you're doing and me coming down here to talk to some of the people from the local area about meditation just felt like a good fit. And we had a good night last night. We got 15 people here to talk about meditation, and it's led to other conversations on this incredible course I've done today. I'm not a farmer, but no one can sit here and listen to Charlie and Hamish Mackay and not realise that you're part of a much bigger conversation about food, about nutrition, about the health of the planet, about life. It's not, as Charlie says, it's not just about soil, it's about life. And it's been a eye-opening day, and we've got another day of it tomorrow. So, and it looks like we'll be able to possibly run a meditation course here off the back of the next biodynamic regenerative course.
So that's another one too.
Yeah, which is fantastic. So we're both trying things out, and in the middle of obviously a really dry period too. So you can
worst spring ever.
See how important it is that people whose livelihoods depend on what they're putting into the ground and taking out of it depend on having really vibrant ecosystems around here.
Well, I say, it's soil health and it's soul health. Because it's something I've really been focusing on. Well, not a lot, but it's actually it's fascinating because there's this whole concept of it's a bit corny, but I say that from soil to soul, the difference is you and I.
Yep.
Literally in the letters of the words.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's funny when I type it on my phone to pump out stuff. I and you were right next to it, and I used to always get them wrong. And it was mistyping soul health, and I was like, my God, that's actually what it is.
Yeah. And it's funny, people just go, hang on, it's the soil that's in the ground. But when you spend time here and you're looking at what goes into it and you're appreciating, what's going on under the ground and the bacteria and the fungi, all those things happening, and then the relationship the plant has to what's underneath the ground, and then the process of photosynthesis. And here I am sounding like I've been at this for a long time.
This guy's a sponge.
But there's something about these conversations and this seminar which resonates with our very deep feeling of being human, because here we are, you're standing on the ground. It's like it's the source of all of it. And the more education takes place in this space, whether you're sitting in a city or out here actually relying on the health of that soil, it's fundamental to the future of populations all over the world. And I think whilst it's here, it's a practical solution for people out here. This is stuff that people in the city need to know about.
And it's sort of, and to spin that around, and I'm glad you're saying that because that's music to my ears. But what you're bringing to the country is your practice, which is what I think is absolutely essential, and it's critical for people to, because we, us farmers, we don't necessarily take the time to think about our mental health, and it'll be right, and we'll push on. And there's a lot of work around identifying mental health and, working with people to sort of get them to talk about it. But what you offer is some really practical ways to then go, what do I do now? I'm acknowledging that I need some help, or it's a tough time, and I'm sitting in that. I'm bearing my soul, but how do I then? What is the next stage? But you're coming out here, which is what I understand you want to do more of, which is fantastic.
Yeah, well, I do, and it's been I had some time in Orange day before yesterday. We were here last night, and just even in the 24 hours in Orange and talking to people there at the wellness centre and having the conversations and listening to the radio, you know, mental health's an issue. I mean, it's an issue everywhere, but I think access to it in places where people they're separated by distance in a huge way. They are working, you know, long hours, you know, in unrelenting country at a time when, you know, as some say, this is the worst drought that this country's ever seen. And so I wouldn't pretend to understand all the issues, and I don't think you want to turn around and say, oh, great, meditation will fix this and fix that. But I've certainly seen people who, whether they're learning to meditate, whether in the city, wherever they might be, it's a wonderful tool to release stress. And if you're going to release stress, then you're going to be less anxious, and you're not going to lie in bed all night worrying about, you know, what's happening and when it's going to rain. And so it's a universal challenge, regardless of what we're doing and where we're living, that we want to feel less stress-free, that we want to work more creatively, that we want to sleep better, that we want to be more available for our families. I mean, this stuff doesn't change just because we're, you know, sitting out in country Australia or, you know, in a city. In fact, it's probably more acute when you don't have community, or at least community that you can just walk out the door and feel like you're part of something. And I think distance is part of that. And just to drive the distances from Orange down to Boorowa and see the state of the country, you know, you can feel it. You can feel how tough it is. So if we can get a few things started, small groups of people meditating, group here, group there, get that local community going, get myself and other teachers maybe coming out and supporting that, because follow-up's so key. Totally. Then over the next couple of years, I think people will be able to, you know, have this tool to look after themselves, and then start marrying the things that you're doing. And they're so complementary to each other, because someone who's less stress-free will turn around and go, I've got the energy today to go out there and start making my compost mix, because I can see that in 4 months' time, I'm going to be really putting some effort into this. And if you're sitting around and you're worrying about whatever else is going on, you just don't clearly have the conscious energy to get up and do things differently.
Yeah, well, just being in the right frame of mind, you know, and as you say, being able to put aside the stress and worry, or work on that to sort of, you know, reduce it or mitigate that being such a factor in one's life. Then being in that, you know, a more open frame of mind to take some of this stuff on, because this stuff we talk about, whether it's biodynamics or regenerative agriculture generally, it's not rocket science. However, it is challenging for people to get their head around, because it involves change. Change involves change, and change can sometimes be fearful because of the way that people have been doing things, or generations of people have been doing things. And you know, just picking up on some conversations, you might have younger generations who want to try new things, and that's true whether it's in farming or business or anything. You know, younger generations want to try new ideas, and maybe people who've been doing things the old way would like to continue that. And so we see that regardless of whatever industry it might be. And so those, you know, those dynamics exist. So trying new things can be challenging. But it seems, you know, it's very clear from talking to you and Hamish that the way things have been done, and it's just very clear all around us, whether it's here in New South Wales or other parts of the country, that things will have to change for farming and agriculture to become sustainable, not just in Australia, in the US and everywhere. I mean, big farming communities are hurting. Soil is just disappearing at, what have we learned, 7 tonnes a... what was the number today? There was like a truckload or a truckload, a B-double per person a year or something. A year, just disappearing per hectare. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's an extraordinary number, and we should be adding half a... We should be building soil. We should be building soil. And I read somewhere else that in the US, within a certain period of time, maybe it is within 50 years, but there will be no topsoil in America. There's only so many harvests we have left, apparently. That's right. So this stuff's got to change, and so people changing their conscious state, people starting to adopt new practices, being open-minded, well, that's all in the mix. Has to be in the mix. And the good news is, again, it's not difficult to sort of, the practices are there, your meditation practice and the way you present that as a solution. I don't necessarily like the word solution, but a practice and a practical way of dealing with and technique, being centred in technique. What we're doing, as you say, is so complementary. And I love it, the fact that you're just sitting there just nodding the whole time, because these things are falling into place is what we sort of, we're seeing. Yeah. And whilst I learnt to meditate 10 years ago now, David Giles, big shout out to you. Having you here again and seeing the complementary nature of this has inspired me again to just get back on that meditation wagon, you know. And I've been talking about, and I've been speaking with a few other people about how do we, you know, these satellite conversations about what other tools are there? What other, you know, non-farming tools, let's just say, you know, they're mental health tools or whatever.
Yep.
And then here it happens. The universe has just gone, you two need to talk again. Because we're
Absolutely.
cousins. We know each other from like
went to school together.
little young bucks running around. Yeah, sharing girlfriends.
Yeah.
No, we didn't. So did not. I don't even know what that means.
No. But it is good, Charlie. You're right. It feels good to be here, you know, 30 years, you know, 35 years after we were running around, you know, as youngsters together, doing something that just feels like it fits really well. And it's day one. So it feels like this will be part of something that we can keep working out together.
Totally.
And
I'm
keep offering. And as you say, there's some knowledge that can come back to people in the city who really want to, you know, they can pick up on things about what they're doing when they walk in. You know, they walk to the markets on a Saturday morning and they're picking up their food. And off the back of what is going on here, they really understand, you know, where it's coming from. They can ask the right questions too, rather than just thinking, okay, well, it's organic. Okay, well, what does that mean? What do some of these things mean? So once people understand that, then I think they also can start to shape their behaviour at the end of that chain. And I think to be seeing kind of that like initial first step is just hugely. It's been fantastic today.
I've got an idea. So what we do, one of the things we can do, is encourage and support city-based people to come and do your course. Out in the country, whether it's here or somewhere else, stay in a town. So it's 4 days, but it's not 4 full days. It's you know, it's periods of an hour or two along the way. So they get to come out to the country, stay in a pub, stay in a hotel, Airbnb, plenty around. Have 4 days, immerse yourself in the country life, eat yummy food, visit yummy people.
Fantastic.
Pop in, do your parts through those parts of the day. Go back home. And I guarantee you'll go back and you'll just turn up to work and people go, my God, what have you
just
do?
do for 4 days?
What is going on?
With a whole other swag of knowledge around food and, you know, this, as you say, this soil, life.
Totally.
It's really good.
We're on to something.
All right, let's go.